There is no shortage of non-soldiers who will climb out of the woodwork and lecture about how soldiers should do the work. Consider this a response to these uninformed fantasists. I'm attempting to explain the infantry in a manner understandable to your average liberal arts student. I myself have been one or the other at one time or another. This is a philosophical primer on why infantry soldiers learn what they learn, entirely through classic and time-worn drills and training. This is my explanation how the modern infantry drills represent the collective wisdom of some ancient truths about battle. Consider a boxer in the arena. How many kinds of zone are in this arena? I'm not trying to fool you. I am referring to the very ground our boxer is standing upon. This is not a trick question. Did you guess two? The safe zone being all the ground beyond the reach of the boxer's jab, and the danger zone being all the ground reached by the punch. Close, but not quite. There are three zones. The safe zone, the danger zone, and under the danger zone. To my mind, the root of the many mistakes made by civilian military historians when talking about battle rests on their failure to understand the many implications of this area under the danger zone. To formalize these terms, I will subtly label each: dead ground, death ground, and dead space. Now, since I was just an average Joe, I'm going to shorten these terms into gruntable labels. We are going to use these labels for the rest of the video. Alright, hopefully I haven't gone too fast. For the sake of completeness, and to head off any potential confusion, I would like to emphasize that these labels work in any potential battle situation, from unarmed all the way to dumb projectiles. What these concepts do not address, and what I will leave for another video, is the fairly recent introduction of the guidance system to the battlefield. Here we see a basic illustration of the concept of the dead space underneath the trajectory of a projectile. There is an entire infantry battle drill 4, react to near ambush, that advises soldiers when caught in a zone of well-aimed enemy fire to assault the enemy position immediately. This movement technique is designed to move the soldiers off of the death ground and into the dead space below the enemy's rounds. The infantry has an acronym for this kind of movement: IMT, or Individual Movement Technique. But who in their right mind would ever want to be shot at? In some circumstances, dead space is all you might have to work with. However, as I hope has become abundantly clear, if at all possible, it is better to stay on dead ground rather than risk moving through dead space. So here's your next question: how is this goal accomplished? The answer is visible in this illustration. Pause the video and think a few minutes if you need to. That's right. Through the use of the terrain. The movement and positioning on dead ground is of paramount importance, as we will see later. We had a mnemonic device for remembering the 5 major terrain features: Hidden Valley Ranch salad dressing, Hill Valley Ridge saddle depression. The minor and supplementary features you just have to remember as written: spur, draw, and cliff. The supplementary features are man-made, either a cut or a fill, and they are not pictured here. The addition of terrain to battle considerations now poses a deeper problem. How do we assign our 3 categories? Knowing these 3 zones are essential to successful action. Yet it all relates to where your enemy has chosen to situate themselves. What can we do to maximize our chances of remaining on dead ground? In order to address this question, the Army has, you guessed it, another acronym. In my day, we called it OCOCA, though now it has been standardized as OC in the recent field manuals. Each of these individual categories could and does fill countless additional military field manuals. However, what matters to the infantry soldier is how these factors interact at the moment of the battle. And as you can see, each of these points relates to the consideration of the three kinds of ground. And in my mind, these 5 points represent the essence of what it means to be an infantry soldier. Officers have multitudes of things to consider. All the common grunt must consider is contained in these 5 points. There is some crossover regarding which items relate specifically to each of the 3 grounds. However, the main point is that the consideration of dead space, both friendly and enemy, underpins the positioning of ground combat forces from the smallest of scraps to the mother of all battles. As I know from my liberal arts days, utility, or even anything vaguely utilitarian, is a sore subject with philosophers. I have no expectation that such academics, students, or liberal arts trained historians will appreciate the sheer utility of these 3 gruntable terms. However, I can't emphasize this enough. There is no, quote, philosophy or way of battle. There are just 3 zones, and it is best to stay in one particular zone. A failure to do this will result, more likely than not, in a loss of some description. How this is done varies from army to army, yet at the end of the day, this is what they are all trying to accomplish. I hope this was useful. If this was not, please leave a comment.